There are countless survival games out there. Subnautica arguably is one of the best. It's one of the few games I keep coming back to, like I did some days ago, and I finally figured out why. It does one thing exceptionally well, but let me start at the beginning. The ocean always fascinated me. I remember staring at it in awe as I stood on the Atlantic shore for the first time. I was only 8 years old back then. Before my first encounter with the real thing, I had absorbed every children's scientific book about the deep sea I could get my hands on. One covered research submarines, which I found particularly interesting. I learned about the Mariana Trench and the first vessel to ever reach its bottom. The Trieste dove all the way down into the Challenger Deep, which is the deepest known point of seabed. It's over 10,900 meters deep. The wonders of life found around hydrothermal vents, even kilometers below the waves, isolated from even a single beam of sunlight, were intriguing. They also creeped me out at the same time, because I imagined the monstrous creatures living in remote chasms we might not have discovered yet. These imaginations were fueled by other books that had shown me pictures of giant squids larger than a truck. They were claimed to live in the pitch-black depths of the ocean and only would ascend into shallow waters to hunt. On top of that, I did speculate, maybe something else lived down there, even more alien and threatening. I was captivated. The possibilities were nearly endless. Even today, 95% of the global oceans are considered unexplored. But there was another thing that also attracted my attention like a light draws in a moth. Space. The great unknown. Here on Earth, we live within a comparatively thin layer suitable for sustaining us. A few kilometers above or below, it quickly gets uncomfortably cold. And just a little bit further, there's no atmosphere anymore, just endless void. But also billions of planets, and billions of galaxies with billions of planets. On these planets could be oceans as well. Wouldn't life within these oceans inescapably be more alien than anything else to us? I asked myself how the vastly different environmental circumstances of other worlds would influence oceanic evolution. The plants and creatures found there, I imagined, would be absolutely astounding. This brings us to the first building block of Subnautica's uniqueness. It has, at the very least, one of the best settings for a survival game, maybe even the ultimate, an alien ocean. This setting is absolutely great, but still not the main reason why Subnautica continues to hold its place as one of the best exploration and survival games ever. It rather is a catalyst, which allows creativity to thrive, and that's what happened. Unknown Worlds created an ecosystem of unrivaled beauty and diversity. You actually want to go out there and see the wonders this enigmatic underwater world has to offer. The behavior of most animals you meet only adds to this, because they behave like animals, not like monsters just made up to scare you. The stalker, for example, a predator you meet near the starting area called the Safe Shallows, only attacks you if you enter its habitat or steal its stuff. You can even feed them to make them non-hostile for a while. So, the first component of Subnautica's uniqueness is the sheer beauty of a believable alien ecosystem on a faraway planet. A beauty which draws you in and makes you wonder what lies beyond the natural barriers the game confines you within at first. In the beginning, you can't dive deeper than you can hold your breath. You might still see objects you'd like to investigate on the ocean floor, but you can't reach them. Yet. Still, that's not enough to carry the whole game. Something is missing. The second component is like the other side of a coin. It by definition is bound to the opposite side because that's how coins work. You can't have one without the other. They function like life itself, to be frank. In Subnautica, you start out in the Safe Shallows, a bright and secure place where you take your first steps in a foreign world. Being a child is the same experience. At first, you're completely dependent on your parents. Then you're confined to certain rooms. Later though, your radius of action expands to nursery school and your friends' places. Maybe you get a bike, which adds ultimate autonomy for the time being. But there's a catch. In my case, it didn't take long until I noticed that not only good things happen to me out there. So I became a little bit more reluctant. I realized it takes courage to set out into the unexplored on my own. Thereupon I came to the conclusion that the outside world is a shimmering and wondrous place, but threatening and scary at the same time. Subnautica's world also is like this, simultaneously beautiful and frightening. One can go without the other, like being asleep and being awake, or like enjoyment and renunciation. You can't value the light in its entirety if you never face the dark. And there we have our second component. Subnautica thrives on the tension between beauty and dread like no other game does. Most survival games pressure you into moving forward from the first second. That's an okay solution and might fit some scenarios like a plane crash very well. Still, this method feels rather blunt compared to Subnautica's elegant approach. It doesn't force you to venture out into the dreadful unknown, it rather encourages you. If you build your base within the safe shallows, it will never get attacked, but you won't be able to accomplish anything either. If you want to achieve something, risk is always involved. Subnautica at all times gives you the freedom to choose how much risk you're willing to undergo in order to reach your goals. The available equipment makes a lot of a difference and can even nullify certain risks completely. There are no artificial tiers to grind through, like wood, iron, silver, gold, platinum, and ultra meganium. You just get more and better equipment the more blueprints you gather. Most upgrades feel believable instead of made up or just there to prolong the game. So you voluntarily but carefully venture out into the darkness, aware of the horrors but also the wonders you might encounter. Like diving down an intimidating abyss for the first time, especially in VR, just to suddenly find yourself hovering above the ghostly glow of a bioluminescent deep-sea forest. Subnautica also does a stellar job in replacing or entirely removing tedious survival mechanisms from early game as you progress, so you can concentrate on what is really important, exploring the strange, beautiful, and threatening alien ocean to find a way back home. If you enjoyed this video, then consider to drop a like. It's the best way to tell me you want to see more videos like this, or just drop a comment. Thanks for watching and see you next time.